Welcome to the Beantown Beatdown.
Matthew Burris.
Gabe Shamus.
And of course, Gabe's drinking some water because he has a headache. And
Yep.
more beer for me.
Exactly.
And sorry folks, we weren't there for a while. We tried to do an episode, but unfortunately we ran into some technical difficulties. And this is actually going to be our last episode for a while because Gabe's going on a little vacation. But we'll
be back in August for you.
Yep, so don't worry folks, we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good beer.
Right.
Alright, so now, first some boxing news. Well, as we all know, the rematch is on. Canelo Alves versus Gennady Golovkin, Triple G.
Triple G. Yep.
Yep. And that fight will take place September 15th on Mexican Independence Day, live in Las Vegas. And let me tell you something. I was telling people, if this fight didn't happen in 2018, it was going to be a travesty. And now we finally got the rematch. And a lot of questions to be answered. Is Gennady Golovkin beatable? Is Canelo Alves a true middleweight champion? You know, and also to answer who is the best in of this era right now.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I guess that's like always what the big fight of the year is always about, is who's the best at this era. But you know, this is definitely highly anticipated, like you've been talking about.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first fight was awesome. You know, granted we got a draw, but you know, this one, this is definitely going to be another great fight, another box office accomplishment for both main events and Golden Boy Promotions, and hopefully we'll get a finish.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone's clamoring for.
Yep. Also, speaking of boxing, July 28th on Premier Boxing Champions on Showtime, it will be for the lightweight championship of the world, unification bout, WBC and IBF. As Mikey Garcia, the WBC champion, takes on Robert Easter Jr., who is the IBF champion. Both guys are undefeated, which means someone's has got to go in this one.
Yep, exactly.
Yep, and you can also see that fight live at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Another good reason for Laker fans to go to Los Angeles. You know, to go to Staples Center, actually. And if LeBron James winds up joining the Lakers, there'll even be a more reason to go to the Staples Center.
Yep, indeed.
And also, August 4th, World Championship Boxing presents a doubleheader, a light heavyweight doubleheader.
Nice. First,
for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship, Dmitry Bivol of Russia takes on Isaac Chilemba of Africa. And then in the main event,
Russia versus Africa. You don't hear that every day.
Yeah, I know. And also, Sergey Kovalev, the two-time light heavyweight champion, puts the WBO title on the line against Elider Alvarez of Ecuador.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, actually, I think the winner of the WBA title fight will probably fight the winner of the Kovalev versus Alvarez fight.
Interesting. Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, it would be awesome, though. Personally, I think if I was managing Alvarez, after this fight, I'd want to get the fight with Adonis. Yeah, Adonis Stevenson, and then probably challenge for the WBA title.
Right. But you got to admit, you know, if it did go to the two victors, you know, were up against each other, was then like the next fight. You got to admit that's pretty cool. That's, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? That's tournament style.
Well, yeah, even though it's not really a tournament.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
that has to be all technical. I like the spirit of things. So in the spirit of things, you know, from one fight to the next, it's like a tournament.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get into some kickboxing news as soon as I can find it. Geez, I have my notes here. Damn.
Let's be on the same page, people.
Yeah, I deserve that one. But yeah, for some kickboxing news, Glory Kickboxing, once again, just a reminder, taking place in New York City. There's actually going to be a middleweight title fight. Again, I wish I had my notes with me so I could memorize these, but unfortunately I don't. So, yeah, I think we'll just skip over the kickboxing news for a while. And we're going to get into some MMA news. First and foremost, Lyoto Machida has officially signed with Bellator MMA. He has left the UFC. Actually, this is a big shocker, because we saw Machida, his first 2 comeback fights in the UFC.
Right.
Not quite sure. I didn't do much research on what happened behind the scenes, but that was another big shocker there. And
so yeah, I mean, so you're saying that that he had a lot. He had a lot of ways to go. He could have continued on in the UFC and had some distance, and he could have done great things, but he decided to go in a completely different direction, right?
Yeah.
And so it is a shocker, and I can imagine, this must mean, this must mean something big, a different direction for, the world of fighting in general. Like there haven't been, as far as I can tell, there haven't been, as many big names going into Bellator. So
well, there have been Benson Henderson. There was. Matt Mitrione, Ryan Bader.
Okay, yeah.
They are starting to lose some fighters. In fact, Josh Barnett is once again a free agent, and he's actually discussed working with Scott Croker again because they worked together in Strikeforce, and now he's talking about coming to Bellator.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
so I mean, Bellator must be growing. Then growing pretty well. Against the competition.
Yeah. Well, if I'm Dana White at this point, I would be trying to hold on to whatever fighters I have.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also, speaking of Bellator, of course, get into last night's. I was at this recording. I was watching Bellator event last night.
Nice.
And here are the results right here for the fight. Bellator 201. Juan Archuleta continues his 14-fight winning streak with a knockout of Robbie Peralta.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually a good fight.
Nice.
Actually, and yeah, good head kick knockout. Valerie Letourneau defeats Christina Williams in hopes of getting a rematch with Ailima McFarlane.
Okay.
Yeah, the current champion.
Yep.
Yeah, flyweight champion. Saeed Awad knocked out Ryan Couture in the second round, and that was actually a good fight. Yeah, I thought we were going to see a grappling match, and turned into a striking war.
Interesting. You said second round.
Yeah.
That was pretty early on. Were you expecting that?
No. Like I said, I was expecting a good grappling match. American wrestling versus judo, and
right.
And turn into a striking war, like I said.
Interesting. All right.
Yes, and Ailima McFarlane won by submission, of course, and she has earned 6 of her 8 career victories by stoppage. All those wins are by submission, and now it sets up a rematch with her and Valerie Letourneau. So hopefully that fight will be taking place pretty soon. And of course, Bellator's next event will be July 13th. We get a double dose more of a triple dose of Bellator.
Nice.
July 13th, Bellator 202 for the women's featherweight title. Julia Budd defending her title against Talita Nogueira.
Okay.
Former bantamweight champion Eduardo Dantas versus Michael McDonald, and of course Chris Honeycutt, fan favorite, taking on Leo Leet. And then of course we have Bellator Rome, Bellator 205. That's the next day, July 14th, taking place in Rome. On the MMA show, we have the rematch: Daniel Weichel versus Patricio Pitbull for the Bellator featherweight title rematch. And of course, the first time they fought in Rome, Pitbull won. So, going back to the scene of the crime.
Right, exactly.
And Alessio Sakara taking on Jamie Sloan in a light heavyweight battle. And, of course, at welterweight, former champion Andrei Kurshov versus Vaso Barishkiv. I'm bad at pronouncing names.
Yeah, here we go with the names, especially the Slavic ones, Slavic and Russian.
And right after that same night, we got Bellator Kickboxing.
Nice.
Where we will crown a first ever Bellator Kickboxing lightweight champion as Giorgio Petrosian takes on Chingiz Alazov. And for the featherweight title, Kevin Ross defends his title against Gabriel Varga. And we also have Gaston Bolanos versus Domincio Lomarino. We have a female belt between Martine Michelito and Gloria Petrillo. And some other bouts that may or may not be on the card.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, one more... also forgot this thing of boxing news, actually. Lucas Matisse versus Manny Pacquiao, July 15th.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, so this is... could be one of the last times we ever see Manny Pacquiao in a boxing ring.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, still at it. Well, I guess maybe for the last time, but but still, I mean, and he is he still at his post? Still a councilman of the Philippines?
Yeah, but still fighting, and
right.
This camp says that he's in it for 2 more fights, but but this could definitely be the last one, depending on how well he does.
Though obviously I completely disagree with him on his stance about gay people. I do appreciate being able to to hold 2 hats at once. I do appreciate what he's done. With that. Being councilman, being and being a fighter. It's 2 very different things, and even more different. We talked last time about action stars and fighters. It's even more different than that because action stars and fighters go back and forth all the time. But this, it's a pretty big deal. So as much as I disagree with him, I do do respect. And if you are leaving, go out on top.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And also one more thing, Bellator news. September 29th. They will be fighting in San Jose. That will be a big night of fights. We got Rampage Jackson versus Vanderlei Silva, Part 4.
Nice.
Yep, the 4th time these guys are meeting. Twice they met in Pride, and Vanderlei beat Rampage. Then they met in the UFC, and Rampage knocked him out. So now they're meeting for a 4th time. Also, it'll be the start of the welterweight Grand Prix.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course... we have Michael McDonald, the Bellator welterweight champion, moving up to middleweight to take on Gegard Mousasi, who is the Bellator middleweight champion.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that fight will be exclusive on the DAZN network, which is a video-on-demand live streaming thing that Bellator signed with.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it won't be on Paramount. On the Paramount Network. Boy, that sucks.
Right. I mean, but that's also something interesting. That points to Bellator. Really reaching for their own star. But obviously, I don't know anything about that service. Maybe it's not a great streaming service to go with, but we'll see.
Yeah, and also we got some UFC fights here, and of course, by the time this airs, it's International Fight Week.
Awesome.
Yep, July 6th, tomorrow night, the Ultimate Fighter season finale. We have Luis Pina versus Richie Smullen, the 2 undefeated fighters who are in the finals of the Ultimate Fighter competition.
Oh, man.
And of course,
that they're both undefeated.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's definitely a header. That's definitely a header. One of them will have to go down with their first defeat.
Yep. And then, of course, Saturday night, UFC 226. That is the big event on pay-per-view. At light heavyweight, we have Gokhan Saki versus Kali Roundtree Jr. kickboxing legend, taking on Ultimate Fighter veteran. Someone's going to get knocked out in that fight.
Yep.
Michael Chiesiev versus Anthony Pettis. And of course, if Anthony Pettis loses this fight, this has definitely got to get him out of the UFC because he's really been on a losing streak.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yep. And at heavyweight, Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis at heavyweight. Somebody's definitely going to get knocked out in this fight.
Yep, indeed.
And we have two main events for the UFC featherweight title, Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega.
Okay.
And then the second main event for the UFC heavyweight title, Stipe Miocic versus the light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's got to be a big ticket item.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, Daniel Cormier, he could hold two belts at the same time.
Oh man, yeah, that's right. You said that before. That's got to be big, man. That's got to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And now let's get into World Outside the Ring. So, Gabe, take it away.
All right. So, I'm going to, talk about something that actually, now that I think about it, I'm surprised I haven't touched on before. And what does it mean to be powerful? So, we don't really, we haven't really, said it this way before, but one of the things about these fighters, about celebrities, athletes, all of them. It actually, they have some level of power. And with fighters, it's like using your, you have to use your physical power as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to touch more about what does it actually mean to be powerful, and how can we all be powerful as well. So obviously, you have thought about this, you research and kind of contemplate what makes a fighter powerful, right? And what are their strengths or weaknesses against other fighters, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and I think that's what we actually do as well when we're trying to make our decisions, when we're trying to reach our goals out in the world, we kind of do the same thing. What are my advantages? What are my disadvantages? And that's, once you figure that out and then have a plan, that's how you can, use your power. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because, in combat sports, to the untrained eye, what they don't see is that it's problem solving.
Right.
It's just that it's problem solving on both mentally and physically. It's like, can his skills match my skills?
Yeah.
And
exactly. Or if his skills do match my skills, then what do I do?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, if his skills can match your skills, then it's a matter of heart. It's a matter of heart and courage and will.
Exactly. And going for it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of will. That's kind of courage and will. But yeah, going for it, forcefully. If really it could tip either way, you gotta just go forward forcefully and make sure that it tips your way. You know what I mean? Well,
yeah, and I'll use three examples. Of course, like for example, in boxing, one of the fantasy matchups, Floyd Mayweather versus Roberto Duran.
Okay, yeah.
Now of course, personally, I believe that Duran in his prime would have beaten Mayweather. As good as I've said Mayweather is one of the best of the current era,
right.
Undefeated, but if he had fought Duran in his prime, I still think Duran would have come up with a way to beat him.
Okay.
Because Duran, he wasn't just a street fighter, he was scientific, he could roll with the punches, what I'm saying?
Right.
For those of you who've seen his fights or actually saw the video we did with David Moore, which, by the way, we're going to try to re-upload that. We're sorry about that, folks.
Yeah.
We apologize again, technical difficulties.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll keep that up as a nice teaser, a nice 13-minute, whatever.
Yeah, and Duran, when a punch would come, Duran would just slide off, just whoop. He would just roll with that punch.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very. I mean, you would connect, but it wouldn't get like a full force. It would just go.
Yeah,
right there.
you've talked before about how that can be a good advantage. If the fist is kind of sliding off your face, it's not the same thing as actually connecting with your.
Yeah, of course, and of course, Duran had power in his hands as well.
Right.
And Mayweather, he's elusive. He's got his foot speed is good. He's much better with his hand speed. Mm-hmm. And when he was in the lighter weight divisions, his hand speed, he was able to knock guys out. But when he kept moving up in weight, it was like it was almost like the power was gone. The hand speed was still there. He was still able to but not much power behind it.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. Or and another example in kickboxing. Like, let's say if you get a kickboxer who knows Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. He knows Taekwondo, and he's doing all those flashy little kicks.
Right.
And then you go up against a kickboxer who knows straight up Muay Thai. Where it's not just kicking with the feet and doing it fancy and flipping, where he's kicking with the shin instead of with the foot.
Uh-huh.
And then also he uses his elbows and knees and, that dirty boxing in there. It's like, okay, can his striking skills match my striking skills?
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Yeah.
Or in MMA, for example, this one I'll actually use... Blah. I'm going to use you and I as an example. Let's say, your credentials in MMA, you know karate, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and kickboxing.
All right, I'm moving on up here.
Yeah, and in MMA, I know Muay Thai, boxing, and judo.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, can my judo match your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Can my Muay Thai beat your Taekwondo?
Yeah, exactly. And just out of curiosity, what is your training or expertise tell you about that?
Well, it tells me that we're sort of on the same level. We're both good at submissions.
Right.
But it's a matter of how good we are on the stand up.
Yeah.
If you're the type of fighter that that knocks people out in volumes of punches, you'll throw 5 punch combinations and kind of like the Diaz brothers, where they don't knock you out with one punch. It's more like it accumulates, just pop, pap, 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 tap, 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 and then eventually, you wear your opponent down, and then before getting
death
the final
by
blow.
1,000 cuts.
Yeah. And whereas me, it's more like sort of like a Mike Tyson or Mark Hunt kind of thing, where I can lay you out with one kick or one shot.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. So you balance that, you figure that out, and So I think one of the more important questions is always, how am I going to use my power? And we do have power we can use. That's the other thing. You might feel like, oh, there's not much I can do in this world, I'm just little old me. Well, if you take that to heart and don't do anything, then yeah, you're just little old you. But really, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot we can do, sometimes the best and the only thing is just to go for it. Matt and I, we've been building this, building this brand, basically building, this show, and other spin-off shows to come. And it's like, we started right down here in the basement, with almost with nothing but my laptop. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We started off with just a laptop, and then we had no video. We just had the skyline of Massachusetts, and then eventually switching to video, and then we were on Serpent Scribe, which is his personal YouTube channel, which I highly recommend you you check out,
go
watch
back
earlier
to the OG.
episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we created Bloody Knuckles TV. We created some new episodes, and
then we got better equipment, or was able to rent equipment, and now we're on Ska TV and getting our this will be up on YouTube, by the way. We're start making sure that our studio quality shows are on YouTube for you as well. And we just keep going, keep growing from there, I've just decided that I might be just some dude, but I'm going to start using the power that I have, and it just takes a few people doing that. So since I'm talking about unexpected power going forward with what you have, I do got to say this. We don't talk politics much, right? But I do got to say that there is actually a perfect example of this in the political world. There is a surprise name that has come out of this week. Is it this week? Yeah. A surprise name exploded onto the scene politically this week, and the name is Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know if you've heard of the new candidate for council for in New York, the candidate for the House, actually, in New York. Alyssa Ocasio-Cortez, just shocked the political world, and even you turn on mainstream news outlets, you'll see this. You'll see them talking about this. There was one standard Democrat who was actually the fourth biggest Democrat in the House, running for the seat of Queens and the Bronx, and Ocasio-Cortez with almost no official endorsements, and just small dollar fundraising actually defeated him. So she is going to be the Democratic nominee for the seat, and and most likely in that district will win. So she's only 28 years old. If she does win, she will be the youngest councilwoman elected to Congress.
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't heard of her, but I know that there's a race for I think Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City. She's in the race as well.
Yeah, so that's for governor.
For governor.
For governor, yeah. This is for the House. But yes, that's also someone to keep an eye on. Cynthia Nixon for governor.
I think she will win, Cynthia Nixon, not just because she was on Sex and the City, and
right, which is name recognition. Let's be real. Name recognition is actually important.
Yeah, but because one, she is a lesbian, and two, she said that her son came out as trans.
Oh.
So
wow, I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, and seeing as how
that hasn't always been an advantage, by the way. It's like even in New York, that wasn't always an advantage. But we are, in good times, where people will want, that type of representation.
Yeah, and wait a minute, who does own New York? The gays or the Jews or
Right, I guess actually I have pretty powerful representation in New York on both counts. But I thought you were gonna talk about gay people, but
the gays they actually I could, because there's a big gay community in New York, so of course they're gonna want one of their own to be governor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be just fascinating. But the other thing is that she's she also has a good message. I think like I said, let's be real. Name recognition is important and is sometimes like the major thing. But it'd be best if you also have a good message to go on, and especially if you tell people your concerns are my concerns. I'm just like you, and except I will bring a more powerful voice to Washington, right? So she talked about let's clean up the subway. Let's improve the subway, because it's New York is is one of the a major city, if not the major city of the country. Why should they be dealing with all these decrepit conditions? So it's like she doesn't have to worry about that. She could take her luxury car, right, and never have to take the subway. But she's also I also hope she'll win, because she's telling people I still care about you, and let's invest to make the subway better. Even though she doesn't have to do that. She could she's a big TV star. She could just write that off. But instead, she says, I'm going to still look out for you and for everyone that has to take the subway.
Well, yeah, I mean, she does. I mean, she is still one of the people, and in fact, actually before her big break with Sex and the City, she worked with Sarah Jessica Parker on a TV movie called What's Best for the Children. I think that's what it was called.
What's Best for the Children?
Yeah, that was like a made for TV movie, and they've been friends ever since then. So she's definitely going to get Sarah's vote.
Yeah.
Kim Cattrall. Yeah. But but also the shift is also back to power, because you do have the power. We do have the power with this show to talk about other things, though we try not to get too much involved with politics, because actually I finally found a name for this nickname for this show, the TV version, actually, the Escape Zone, which I derived from Bill O'Reilly's the No Spin Zone, which, by the way, we both hate Bill O'Reilly.
Yes, exactly.
But
yeah, might as well make something better than his version of that.
Yeah, but we call it the Escape Zone because we know that you guys you get the 5 o'clock news, the 6 o'clock news, and then there's the 10 o'clock news at night. On top of that, there's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC.
We get the picture.
FUNBC.
Yeah.
But so we want to be an escape, especially for the sports fans, and even for ones who are not even sports fans. We want to be, for the next hour, this escape zone. Exactly. Where you don't have to worry about the war. You don't have to worry about Donald Trump being an idiot, or the killings and police brutalities and stuff, or even politics that are going around in certain states. And of course, Gabe will bring it up every now and then, and of course, fans are going to be like, "Oh, for God's sakes, we want to talk about. Let's get back to fighting. This is a sports show, damn it."
But that's why I'm here, to talk to the rest of the audience, Anyway, I did have one more point I was going to make about that. So Cynthia Nixon happens to be a celebrity who's also now a politician. But I was actually going to make a point that about celebrities, that we look to celebrities and like I said before, just like us, we looked at celebrities, and I used to read those trashy magazines that were like find people here, find people there. Celebrities, they're just like us, right? So I was gonna say, if we would be better off, if it doesn't have to be all the time, but every 2 years, every 4 years, if we stopped thinking so much about celebrities, they're just like us, and started thinking about politicians, are they just like us? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, some do come from a blue collar background, and but then it's also like, you know, once they become rich, then it's like, oh, it's all about the elite, and you know,
right. Well,
little
that's
people.
yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
that's just it. That's just it. For me, that's the difference. You can, you know, you can come from a lower class background and then, you know, forget everything and turn your back on the people, and you know, you should suffer consequences for that. You know, you should still be considered a slimy politician. But you can also, you know, come from riches, and you know, and decide that you're going to, you know, help the people, that you're going to, you know, to try and be just like them, and you're going to try and, you know, reach down and, you know, for instance, fix the subway, you know, and you know, and stuff like that, you know, and so it's not, you know, it's not where you come from economically. It's, you know, what is important to you and what you use your power for. You know what I mean? What do you use your power for? And yeah, so I'm just gonna say it one more time. You know, Ocasio-Cortez, you know, really spoke to the people of Queens as well, and you know, and it was the similar type of issues. You know, just she showed herself, you know, in one of the ads, like, you know, getting on the subway, you know, and stuff. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, you can you know, go to Washington, but don't forget where you came from.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed the
Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, you know, and don't worry, folks. This will still be the escape zone. So, you know, just be prepared, because fans are going to be like, "What is this guy talking about politics for on a sports show? Matt, can you shut him up? Shut him up!"
True, but just so you are aware, our channel is actually you know, Somerville TV is actually pretty politically oriented, you know, during the election years. So, you know, just you know, it comes with the territory, folks. You know, this is actually, you know, it's not just me. It's a part of you know, reaching out to other, you know, audience on this channel.
Yeah. Well, you said it best there.
Yeah.
And also, for those of you who don't know, I did my last episode a couple weeks ago, the Beer and Brawl show, and where I had Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Maris' first fight, and all the other fights you can check out on the Beantown Beatdown Facebook page at Beantown Beatdown at facebook.com. But don't worry, I will be back July 20th. You know, I'm taking some time off, you know, to recharge the batteries. And the first show back, you're going to be seeing Lennox Lewis versus Ray Mercer. That was actually an epic brawl. I saw that as a kid. You're going to see the two epic fights between Fernando Vargas and Shane Mosley, and that's when Fernando Vargas was really on the downhill. I mean, especially in the first fight, when they stopped the fight, that eye was just like the size of an egg. Swole to the size of an egg there. And then, of course, on that night as well, you're going to see Floyd Mayweather win his first world title. He wins his first world title against Gennaro Hernandez.
All right.
Yep, so that's where the legend begins, people.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to get into the last word. Yep. And for the last word on this show, I decided to do something different, because I was looking. One of the YouTube videos that I watch more often is the Boxing Extra. That's where they do like highlight videos and stuff like that. And one of the highlights videos was the top 10 pay-per-view fights of all time in boxing, and I have the list right here, which is why I'm fiddling through this thing. Don't worry, I got it right here. And of course, I talked about, you know, pay-per-views and in the episode that was supposed to air.
Right.
So, and of course, that'll eventually be on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. So here are the top 10 pay-per-view fights of all time. Number 10, Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad. That threw in $1.4 million back in 1999.
Nice.
Of course, the The decision was BS because Trinidad actually won that fight, but then they gave it to Trinidad.
Oh.
Trinidad, great fighter, but yeah, De La Hoya won that fight.
Gotcha.
Right, number 9, also coming in at 1.4 million buy rates. Floyd Mayweather versus Shane Mosley, and this was actually the fight that made me respect Floyd Mayweather because Floyd Mayweather was talking some crap about MMA, and I did want to see him lose, but then.
Right.
After seeing him survive almost getting knocked down by Shane Mosley, and, I had more respect for him as a boxer, and which eventually led to me being a fan of his.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm the biggest Floyd Mayweather fan of all time. Number 8, Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto, 1.5 million buy rates. This was Floyd's last fight before he went into jail, and then he came back out and then had the fight with Guerrero, Alvarez, Maidana, and Pacquiao.
Right.
Yeah, and that was a huge fight. And actually at that fight, 50 Cent, Triple H, and Justin Bieber came out with Floyd Mayweather.
Awesome.
Yeah. Number 7. This one goes back to my my childhood. Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely. That drew in 1.57 million, and this was Mike Tyson's first fight after getting released from prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he made short work of Peter McNeely, knocking him out in the first round. Well, he knocked him down twice, and then his corner threw in the towel. And of course, fans left pissed off. But of course, if you see that whole fight, you can tell Mike Tyson was back. Especially the stare. He was like staring at him. He was just like, okay, I'm ready to F you up now.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say. There's got to be that's got to be a moment when you come back from prison.
For a crime he didn't commit.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got the rage in him.
Yeah. Number 6. This also goes back to my childhood. Evander Holyfield versus Mike Tyson, Part 1, 1.59 million. I actually saw this fight. I actually remember this fight as clear as day. I had a cold and my voice was going. And I actually cried at the end of the night because Evander Holyfield beat Mike Tyson. Yes, I cried like a baby.
Wow. Yeah, but that's what you get sometimes when you have two of the big legends up against each other,
Yeah, and of course this fight really gave Holyfield the respect he deserved in boxing because everyone was like, okay, he's a 2-time world heavyweight champion, but he never beat Tyson, and he beat Tyson that night.
Right, exactly. Like you've said before, sometimes you do have to be the man that beats the man, so
exactly.
That's what he became.
And number 5, Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson, 1.97 million buy rates. And actually, do remember this fight. This is the fight where Tyson in the press conference bit Lennox Lewis on the leg, and then they had to move the fight to Memphis. And then Mike Tyson said, "I'll beep you till you love me, you anti-gay F word." Damn you, FCC! Yeah, and Lennox Lewis beat the crap out of Tyson too. It was a one-sided fight too.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, but it still proved that Mike Tyson was still box office. There.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, coming in at number 4, Holyfield versus Tyson 2, 1.99 million. Yes, that was the fight where Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off.
Yep. So yeah, all of the biting moments in history. Oh
yeah,
all 2 of them.
Yep. And coming in at number 3, Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez, 2.2 million. Actually did see this fight, and Floyd Mayweather gave Canelo Alvarez a boxing lesson because Alvarez was undefeated, and
right.
Everybody was wondering, Floyd once again moving up to super welterweight, and
right.
Alvarez a bigger guy, can he beat him? And Mayweather just outboxed him. He did. Actually, in a few fights, in a few of the rounds, I was like, okay, Mayweather, go for it, but
right.
wish he had gone for it in the end, trying to knock him out, but he just, he got the decision, but he was completely outboxed the guy. You know what I'm saying? Number 2, Floyd Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya, 2.4 million buy rates.
De La Hoya.
Yep, and this was actually a good pay-per-view. This was actually took place during my senior year of high school, and of course by that time I was way into MMA, and I wanted to see De La Hoya beat Mayweather because again Mayweather was talking crap about MMA, but at the same time. Floyd was friends with 50 Cent, and I was a huge fan of 50 Cent back in high school.
There you go. So, interesting. You actually had some split loyalties on this one?
Well, yeah, first I wanted Mayweather to win, but then when I saw on ESPN talking crap about the UFC and MMA, then I was like, okay, I want De La Hoya to win. And, But of course, Jim Lampley, at the end of the night, talking about this fight was much better than what you see in MMA, and then... was mad at Jim Lampley for that. I mean, I respect him as a broadcast announcer. I mean, he's been there throughout most of my childhood.
Okay.
Being a boxing fan, but what he said about MMA, I was like, nah, you douchebag. Well, I can say douchebag on this channel, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Douchebag, 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 douchebag. And finally, coming in at number 1, no big surprise. Here, Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, 4.4 million.
Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah, this was definitely the fight that everybody waited years for, and and I actually remember having a fight party for this. I invited my friends over. I had the Bud Light margaritas, and I had the Doritos. Doritos chips. I had Taco Bell, because it happened on Cinco de Mayo, or as we in the fight business call it, Cinco de Mayweather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because for a while Mayweather was doing pay-per-view fights on Cinco de Mayo.
Right. Yeah, exactly. For a second there, I thought you were also going to say Cinco de KO, because that's the other way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Knockout.
Yeah, of course. And that was number 1. And the reason I bring this up because, of course, knowing you being anti-capitalist, you're going to be like, oh, these they put on these pay-per-view fights are expensive, and they're shoving it down people's throats. It's like, no, look at the numbers. Look at how much they paid for it. It's like, look at the buy rates. It's supply and demand. That means people want to see these fights.
Right. We've discussed this before. I've not said it like that, but yeah, we've discussed before the whole price of pay-per-views and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I get you. Obviously, there's huge audiences for this. Obviously, it's worth it for them. It's working. I mean, yeah, definitely. I get what you're getting at, and that's a good list throughout history. I really like that throughout boxing history.
Well, yeah, because just like we said on the Lost episode, which we'll once again try to upload on YouTube and on Facebook, is that we talked about in the last word about the anniversary of Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks, and we talked about how much it generated, and of course, in case you guys don't see it here, we actually got the we got the earnings and stuff like that, but the expected earnings and stuff. But here's the financial earnings of what Tyson Spinks earned back in '88. Fight grossed a total of $70 million on pay-per-view because 600,000 houses bought that fight. The Light Gate earned $12.3 million. Gambling revenue in New Jersey, Atlantic City, $344 million. And Trump Plaza Casino,
where is that?
Yeah, the Atlantic City Convention. They brought in $11.5 million, which means the Trump family had a nice Christmas that year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I mean, yeah, that's definitely that was definitely a big one, and yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know like all the like venues, you know, of those top ones, you know, all the venues, like how much they brought in, like you just said. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know that for all the other pay-per-views.
Yeah, and of course in the lead up to that fight, they were comparing, because I was watching the countdown to Tyson versus Spinks on YouTube. They were comparing it to the first Ali Frazier fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, two undefeated heavyweight champions and stuff like that. And the first fight for Ali and Frazier, the ringside seats were $150, and the ringside seats for Tyson versus Spinks was $1,500.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah. Well, of course,
that's 10-1.
yeah, but of course nowadays, you know, ringside seats are like in the thousands now. And, you know, once again, people are going to say, you know, going to like, oh, they charge too damn much, you know, and all that stuff. Well, it's like, well, no, clearly people are willing to pay that much money to see this fight live or live at the arena, or they're willing to pay that much money at a pay-per-view. And especially when you got a box office draw like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, the Tyson Spinks fight was really the beginning of Mike Tyson being a box office draw on pay-per-view, because there was, you know, there was the Spinks fight, and then there came the second fight with Ruddock, I think, was on pay-per-view, and then when he got released, all of his fights were on pay-per-view, and, you know, he was on Showtime, and, you know, I mentioned the numbers there, and so what does that tell you? Fans are willing to pay $50 or $60, you know, to see Mike Tyson fight. And of course, and they were willing to pay that much money to see Oscar De La Hoya fight, and they were willing to pay that much money to see Mayweather fight.
Yeah, indeed, and I mean, it's got to be like, you know, a huge moment of history, like for yourself, you know, like when you a huge memory, you know, to be like, yeah, I was there, I totally saw it, you know, I do think about what it would be like to be there for, you know, for something huge like Floyd Mayweather, you know what I mean, like the Mayweather fight, you know, I might be anti-capitalist, like you said, but yeah, I mean, you know, if it was something huge enough, you know, something completely historic, you know, I could see myself, you know, paying that much money just, you know, to be there. You know, I told you how my dad watched the Ali Frazier, you know, back in the day, and yeah, like, you know, I think, you know, even though he also wasn't as into it, you know, maybe, you know, if he had the chance to be there, like, you know, maybe you would.
Well, back then, those fights could also be seen on regular TV as well. And
right. Well, they were, and he did. But.
And there was like closed circuit where you could go to the arena and they would show it on the arena, like screen TV or on a theater and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, and now with the advent of pay-per-view, when pay-per-views were getting big in the 80s and in the 90s, you know, people were like, oh, wait a minute, this is something we can't see on HBO. I mean, they would show championship fights on HBO, I mean, but then it was like, when it was something really special, it's like, oh, wait a minute, we had to order this fight? Oh, and this fight is big? Oh, I gotta pay money for this. Oh, I'm definitely ordering this.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, indeed. But yeah, it's you know, so I do think about that. I think about, you know, it would be you know, pretty damn cool, and something that you know, always look back on if you had actually been there. There's a scene in Mad Men where they were all gonna go to I think Ali Frazier.
No, Ali Liston.
Yeah,
Ali Liston Part 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we actually talked about this in an episode on the YouTube show.
Exactly. Yeah, you can go back and check that out. But yeah, so yeah, the Ali Leston fight, they were all gonna go to that. And I think Peggy and Draper ended up not. But like, you know, for the rest of the, you know, the rest of the office mates, you know, they'll be talking about that for years to come. You know what I mean? And, imagine to and especially to go with your office mates or coworkers, have a whole gang of you. I can imagine that'd be something that that you never forget and you talk about for years.
Yeah, and of course, remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer stole cable, and
oh yes,
and because he stole cable, he ordered a fight, boxing match on pay-per-view, or it was on pay-per-view. They called it the Blockbuster Channel, which, by the way, I was, as a kid, I always wondered why doesn't Blockbuster didn't have their own channel, the Blockbuster Channel.
Right. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. That interesting Blockbuster Channel. That's actually kind of tapping into something that hadn't been invented yet. That's kind of actually like what Netflix became.
Yeah, Blockbuster had tapped into that, they'd still be in business.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But yeah, so anyway, that was another, this whole Simpsons episode, that was definitely a thing, yeah. And it was gonna, invite everyone over.
Yeah, because that was a big fight. I mean, of course, that was the thing back in the 80s and the 90s, and still to this day. It's like whenever the big fight's on, you invite a bunch of people over and you watch the fights. I haven't had a fight party actually since my birthday when the UFC did their first pay-per-view in New York City. And,
right, yeah.
I was talking to my mom a couple of days ago actually about it. I said, for the Alvarez Gennady Golovkin fight, I said, I want to have a fight party. I want to invite some friends over. And she's like, no, don't do a fight party here because you're always hosting it. I'm like, well, my friends don't have cable, especially this one. And I said well, you got to host fight parties back in the day. And she says, yeah, but that was out of my pocket. And, now it's, I don't want that many people over in my house. And I said, well, can I invite some friends over? And she says, yeah, you can invite some friends over. You can invite Gabe and Prema. But, I don't know. Let me tell you something. Come hell or high water, I am going to try and have a fight party.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes,
you need to find a new friend to host, basically.
Yeah, and I will have the Bud Light margaritas, the Doritos, and I'll even get some good food from Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so especially those Dorito Blaze. And of course I had to lay off them because of the diet, because especially last time I ate them I wound up getting bad heartburn. But for that fight I'm definitely going to bring them up.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta go for the gold. The
spicy
crunchy
ones.
The crunchy spicy gold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also what would your parents think about, well, of course you grew up in when you grew up, you didn't have cable. Mm-hmm. By the way, sorry.
Yes,
I feel so bad for you.
He always consoles me, but I'm fine, thank you.
How would your parents feel about you paying so much money for that?
Right.
For a fight.
Right. Yeah. Yep. They probably also would have concerns about it or wouldn't approve or whatever. But if I turn in, if I turn it into a big party, and have lots of good friends over, then they could get into it. If it's I think they'd be if it's for for the sake of having all my friends over, I think that's they'd actually be into it just because of that.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, the Lost episode we're going to try and air on Facebook. We actually did a good conversation on because on the anniversary of Tyson versus Spinks, and we're also going to try to upload the complete version of Ringside with Matt and Gabe with talking about the Duran versus Moore fight, which we actually taped on his Roberto Duran's birthday.
Oh yeah.
Because the fight with him and Davey Moore took place on his birthday, where he won the super welterweight title.
Yeah.
And also the anniversary of Mike Tyson and Michael Spinks. In that same episode, we're gonna try and upload that.
Yeah.
And also on the 28th, when we're taping this episode and for the episode in August, we will be doing a ringside episode where we talk about the anniversary of Larry Holmes and Ken Norton. That was actually in June, but the two other fights were just as important, and we decided to save the Larry Holmes one for July.
Gotcha. Yep.
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 So there you guys go. We'll be back in August. Gotta recharge our batteries. Well, of course, my batteries are starting to get a little recharged, but Gabe has to recharge his more. And we'll be back, like I said, Thursday nights, 9 o'clock, same bad time, same bad channel.
All right.
And so, from Beantown to your town, this is the Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Barris.
Gabe Shamus.
Vios con Dios.